The past few years, the price of hay pretty much over 2 years ago, has doubled.
As farmers, we don't really see the benefit that there is with the rise of costs in the grocery store.
The freight cost and the carbon taxes, for your natural gas, the electricity bill is also a factor in there as well.
When people ask me how can I eat lamb or eat the sheep that I love dearly, I point to the hay over there and say, do you want to eat that?
The cost of everything has gone up.
Adam Soos here for Rebel News, and I'm once again on location at the Calgary Stampede, and today we are looking at some of the incredible industries, the farmers, the ranchers, and the people that ensure you have food on your table every single day and ensure that you don't go hungry. If you've noticed increasing prices when you go to the grocery store, well, imagine if you're not only feeding your family, but you're feeding 100 head of cattle. These folks are really struggling with input costs resulting from not only environmental factors like drought, but carbon tax increases and surcharges being brought upon out of their control by the government. There is certainly a lack of support for these incredible farmers. So I'm here to share their side of the story, to learn more about what they do, and to provide you with some information that if you didn't grow up in this industry or haven't spent much time on the farm, you simply wouldn't have access to.
The farmers themselves aren't making any more money right now, even though the costs in the grocery store are rising. The feed costs are very, very high right now, and it's the grocery stores are making some money and the packers are making some money, and unfortunately the producers are not a lot. We've actually even had quite a few that have, we call it depop in the industry, where they've actually entirely got out of it.
You know, the cost of fuel has certainly gone up, the cost of inputs on grain, whether it be the cost of the seed grain or the cost of fuel or the cost of labor, machinery costs have gone up. Everything has gone up in price.
It used to be, 50 cents a mile. Then it got to be 50 cents a kilometer. Now it's like $1 a kilometer, basically, minimum, to haul your horse down the road.
So just the cost of steel, coke that we burn right here instead of using propane. So most of the time when we're mobile and our units, when we're doing the forging, that's the challenging part, especially the gas costs to go out to our clients. It's challenging there for sure. So a little more diesel, a little more propane.
Things like the carbon tax and all that should not be, just like we don't tax milk, for example, we shouldn't be taxing the farmers on the input. They need that. We still need oil and gas to make our food, to harvest our food. And we need even to harvest the corn to make your ethanol to replace oil and gas. It's kind of ludicrous in my mind, unfortunately.
The past few years, the price of hay pretty much over 2 years ago, has doubled. I've never paid so much for hay as I have now. And I'm in southern Alberta, just west of Stavely. And it's been really, really dry out there for the last 2 years. So again, and that's what's driving up the price of feed.
In terms of veterinary costs, incremental costs continue, but nothing that probably compares to what the inflation in other sectors are. And I think in terms of looking at the overall bigger picture of the industry, it's somewhat of the disconnectedness between the producers and the processors, and then also the grocery stores, and that the inflation probably can be looked at in some of those different areas rather than what the producer's getting.
There's a lot that goes in and out on a farm, a lot of expenses, but all farmers across the board and ranchers are doing the best they can through hard times and good times.
Well, the biggest increase right now that I see is the feed prices have a big impact on it because we're getting drought all over the western provinces here, and having to buy all these grains and truck them in.
A lot of people don't truly realize the cost of raising these cattle. Yes, we'll get $3,000-4,000 per head, but the price of fuel, fertilizer, hay, everything has gone up so much.
Increased fuel costs, and that increases feed costs. This year it's a little bit tricky because there isn't going to be a lot of feed with the drought here in Alberta. As farmers, we don't really see the benefit that there is with the rise of costs in the grocery store. I personally have a meat shop as well, so besides the cattle, we sell retail meat. We try very hard not to raise our costs to our consumers because we want people to have good beef, but it's very difficult because we have to make a living.
Farmers are just doing what they have to do, and like I say, we're dependent on markets and weather, and sometimes we don't make a whole lot of money on things, but we still have to send our animals to market or our crops to market, and so it does affect everybody, but it also affects the farmer.
I was buying 1,500-pound square bales for about $100 a bale 5 years ago.
Wow.
And they're 200, 250 now. And the fuel back then was like 75 cents a liter for diesel. If you can find diesel under $1.30, you better fill up your truck.
We've gone down this track thinking that meat is bad for the environment. These sheep we've been eating lamb for 15,000 years or longer, humans have, and domesticated the sheep, for example. And when people ask me, how can I eat lamb or eat the sheep that I love dearly, I point to the hay over there and say, do you want to eat that?
Carbon tax is definitely huge. The cost of fuel, the cost of fertilizer, every single part of what they do is costing more.
It's the producer is not making the profits that you're seeing further down the production chain.
Right.
And it's the producer that's really suffering right now. And hopefully, prices have improved this year. Significantly. We're up like 30% over last year, but it's still nowhere near to where we're making profit.
The freight cost and the carbon taxes, for your natural gas, the electricity bill is also a factor in there as well. And then the freight all in all, as a whole, has gone up like a huge amount since COVID.
The cost of everything has gone up, and wages haven't gone up that much. And you take heat your house, and you take farmers. They've got shelters, and in the industry with training, you got a barn full of horses, and you got to keep it at the right temperature. And you have to hire help, and it's really hard to get that help now because you got to pay a lot more.
A lot of us have downsized our herds because of the price of feed, and prices not keeping up with that increase in cost.
And it really upsets me when I hear people in the city living in their concrete towers trying to tell me how to raise food for them when they don't do. I always want to ask them, what did you do today to raise food or create food for yourself? Everybody needs to eat. Not everybody needs a computer. Not everybody needs to live in a concrete tower, but we all need to eat.
Well, that is a wrap from our Stampede coverage today. It was incredible speaking to people from a wide variety of industries. Now, you think about all the transportation costs that go into, say, keeping horses, raising cattle, and things like the carbon tax, the massive cost increase makes sense. But talking to folks like chicken farmers, egg farmers that are also experiencing those cost increases makes me realize just how bad things are getting and just how much we are overdue for a change in federal governance. These people, if we run out of meat, if they can't keep their stock, if we run out of product, well, the costs are going to continue to skyrocket, and not just at the rate of inflation, but well beyond that. So it's important. You know what? I'm just going to encourage all of you, get out there, support a local rancher, buy meat locally directly from the ranch. There's ways that you can help these folks continue to make ends meet while getting some incredible Alberta product on your table. As always, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. Well, if you support us getting out here and sharing Western stories featuring incredible animals like these and advocating for Alberta's industries, these ranchers, these farmers who do so much to ensure that we have food on the table while almost never getting rich, I want to encourage you to chip in and support this type of journalism at rebelfieldreports.com.